I'm Shannon Mars with Liberty University's Communications 101, doing my informational speech on the proposed fair tax. From long ago, back to the days of the Civil War, a very complex and confusing tax system has been enacted upon every U.S. citizen. This tax system includes what some may call penalties for things like getting married, giving gifts, or even death and inheritance matters. At the same time, the tax also includes what some may look at as a benefit for things like buying a home, buying a new car, or even having children. The one thing agreed upon by all is the complexity of our federal tax system. It's composed of numerous subtitles, chapters, subparts, parts, and sections governing every aspect of revenue matters. This is why there are now proposed systems that would place our current federal tax system with an entirely different system of taxation. Based on my research from the Internal Revenue Service and the 2010 edition of Southwestern Federal Taxation, I present to you information on the new proposed tax system that will replace each and every component of our current tax system. In the proposed fair tax, there will be one national sales tax on all items, including the current non-taxable items, such as certain foods and medicine. Everything will be taxed at one common rate of 23% nationwide. Excuse me. During the minutes that follow, I will inform you of the simplistic plan of the fair tax by eliminating all current major taxes, by creating one national sales tax, and by offering a form of relief to lower income taxpayers by granting tax credits, rebates, or exemptions. Willis, Hoffman, Maloney, and Rabe explained the proposed national sales tax as the fair tax, eliminating all current major types of taxes, including, but not limited to, income taxes, both corporate and individual, payroll taxes, and gift and estate taxes. Currently, every working individual has a tax imposed and deducted from his or her payroll check each week. It's based off a pay-as-you-go procedure, where an employer is required to withhold the federal income tax from a worker's pay. As the employer of a working individual, a business is to withhold the just mentioned federal income tax, as well as taxes for Social Security and Medicare. Not only does an employer have to withhold these taxes from the employee's pay, but the employer also is required to pay a matching amount of Social Security and Medicare taxes for each employee. While death of a loved one already causes enough despair in our lives, if the loved one leaves behind any form of property or insurance proceeds, our current federal tax adds more grief. The transfer of this property and proceeds from one to another is taxed at its current fair market value and is left to be paid by the one receiving these proceeds. Like a death tax, a gift tax is an excise tax levied on the right to transfer any property from one party to another. As explained in the Internal Revenue Service article, Tax Ideas, its proponents explain that the fair tax is a voluntary consumption tax. The idea behind their plan is the more a person buys, the more tax the individual pays. The less the person buys, the less tax the person pays. The only tax of the fair tax plan will be a consumption tax based off of what one buys. With the elimination of the already mentioned taxes, payroll, gift, and estate, the only aspect of our new federal tax system will be one common national sales tax on all purchases. A national sales tax in the proposed fair tax would be collected on all final sale of goods and services. This would include all new items, exempting business expenses, used goods, and the cost of education. Notice the fact that this is not collected on used items. Ken Hoagland provides in his book, The Fair Tax Solution, that to eliminate the double, triple, and even quadruple taxation we now suffer, used goods are not subject to the fair tax. Used goods have already been taxed once when bought new and will not be taxed again, causing the double taxation that's being talked about. Items that are currently exempt, such as medicines, will no longer be exempt and will be taxed under the National Common Sales Tax. This common national sales tax is proposed at 23%. This means that the sales tax we're used to paying now at 6.5% will be replaced and will now be taxed at almost 4 times the current amount. While this proposed tax is much more simplistic than our current federal tax system, the effects of such a proposed tax will be very challenging. The proposed fair tax would impose much more of a burden on lower income taxpayers. The lower income taxpayers would be spending larger portions of their income on essential purchases. With such a higher rate being forced upon all citizens, especially the lower income taxpayers, this rate would heighten the encouragement of smuggling and black market activities. While these facts are quite clear to understand, the fair tax proposal attempts to remedy this inequality by granting some sort of credit, rebate, or exemption to lower income taxpayers, all based off of the size of the one's family. So as you can see, the proposed tax is a very simplistic plan. In its entirety, the simplistic fair tax hopes to replace our complex and very confusing current federal tax system. The fair tax does so by eliminating all major types of taxes, creating a common national sales tax at 23%, and protecting the lower income taxpayer who will be most affected with granting some sort of rebate, credit, or exemption. With a simplistic plan and nothing to be confused of, the fair tax stands as a top runner of the new proposed U.S. tax system. Thank you.